Leonardo da Vinci is not only one of the greatest artists of the Renaissance, but also considered a symbol of human curiosity and observational power. Combining the identities of painter, engineer, anatomist, architect, and inventor in one person, Leonardo was one of the figures who showed that art and science are not separate worlds, but rather two fields that nourish each other. His life is intertwined with the story of the transition from the traditional mindset of the Middle Ages to the experimental and observational approach of modern science. Leonardo was born on April 15, 1452, in the village of Anciano, near the town of Vinci, within the borders of the Florentine Republic. His father, Ser Piero da Vinci, was a respected notary in Florence. His mother, Caterina, was a peasant woman. Leonardo was born out of wedlock, although this was seen as a disadvantage in the social structure of the time. It allowed him to undergo a more free and observational learning process rather than a rigid academic education. Leonardo, who spent his early childhood in a rural environment, grew up surrounded by nature. Olive trees, vineyards, rocky slopes, and small streams shaped his way of observing the world. His later drawings in notebooks, depicting the arrangement of plant leaves, the flow of water, the movement of birds' wings, and the layers of rocks in great detail, are a direct reflection of these early observations. When his father, Ser Piero, recognized Leonardo's talent for drawing, he guided him towards the cultural environment of Florence. Florence was one of the most vibrant centers of the Renaissance in the 15th century. Under the patronage of the Medici family, the city was teeming with painters, sculptors, philosophers, and engineers. This environment became the first major turning point that shaped the direction of Leonardo's life. At around 14 years old, Leonardo was apprenticed to the workshop of Andrea del Verrocchio, one of the most respected artists of the time. This workshop was not only a place for painting, but also a multifaceted training center where sculpture, metalwork, architecture, and mechanical designs were produced. Here, Leonardo learned how to prepare pigments, work on wood and canvas, the principles of perspective, how to work with clay and bronze for sculpture, and mathematical proportions. He also designed stage sets and mechanical devices. This multifaceted education laid the foundation for his view of art and engineering as an integral whole. One of the angelic figures in Verrocchio's painting, The Baptism of Christ, is believed to have been painted by Leonardo da Vinci. The softness and naturalness of this figure are considered an early indication of the young artist's talent. In 1472, Leonardo was admitted to the Florentine Painters Guild and began working as an independent artist. However, due to his perfectionist personality, he either completed many commissions too late or left them unfinished. For him, a work was never considered completely finished; it could always be improved. During this period, Leonardo's interest in human anatomy also became evident. He treated the body as a machine, trying to understand how muscles and bones enabled movement. This approach formed the basis of his later scientific drawings. Around 1482, Leonardo left Florence and entered the service of Ludovico Sforza, Duke of Milan. Milan was a city prominent for its military and political power, and Ludovico wanted to fill his court with artists and engineers. In his famous letter to the Duke, Leonardo primarily presented himself as a military engineer and architect. He described his ability to design bridges, defense systems, siege machines, and canals. he relegated his painting to a secondary role. This letter reveals that he saw himself not only as an artist but also as a thinker seeking to understand nature and mechanics. Leonardo's years in Milan were among his most productive. He designed theater stages and mechanical performance apparatuses for the palace. He developed projects on city planning, canal systems, and the movement of water within the city. Painted between 1495 and 1498, The Last Supper has become one of the most influential religious compositions in art history. Leonardo depicted the emotions on the faces of the apostles after Jesus' words, "One of you will betray me." Shock, anger, fear, and doubt are reflected differently in each figure. This approach transformed religious figures from abstract symbols into individuals possessing human emotions. During this period, Leonardo da Vinci focused intensely on the human body. He conducted studies on cadavers and prepared hundreds of drawings of muscle structure, the skeletal system, and internal organs. Even centuries later, medical historians consider these drawings to have a level of accuracy far ahead of their time. Begun in 1503, Mona Lisa is considered the pinnacle of his artistic vision. The soft transitions in the portrait are one of the most advanced examples of the sfumato technique. Instead of harsh lines, he used smoky tonal transitions to bring the figure to life. The imaginary landscape in the background symbolizes the connection between nature and humanity. The mysterious smile in the portrait presents an expression that changes depending on the viewer, opening the way for psychological depth in portraiture. In 1499, Milan was occupied by the French army, and Leonardo was forced to leave the city. He then worked in cities such as Mantua, Venice, and again Florence. During this period, his fame spread not only as a painter but also as an engineer and consultant. City-states commissioned him to design bridges, defense systems, and water projects. While in Florence, he worked concurrently with Michelangelo. Although there was no direct conflict between the two artists, art historians consider this period the peak of the Renaissance. Leonardo went to Rome in 1513 and worked under the patronage of the Medici family. However, artists like Michelangelo and Raphael were prominent in Rome during this period. Leonardo's projects remained limited. During this time, he focused more on scientific research. He made drawings of flying machines, hydraulic systems, and military vehicles. These works demonstrate that his mind possessed an imagination far ahead of its time. Leonardo's final major period was spent in France. King Francis I of France invited him to his court and showed him great respect. Leonardo began living in the Château de Clauselus and received the title of the king's first painter, engineer, and architect. Due to old age and health problems, he did not produce major projects, but the works he brought with him, especially the Mona Lisa, remained in France as part of his legacy. Leonardo died on May 2, 1519, at the age of 67. Among Leonardo's most important works are the Mona Lisa, The Last Supper, The Virgin of the Rocks, The Lady with the Ermine, Saint Anne, and The Vitruvian Man. The Vitruvian Man has become a symbol of the convergence of art and science, depicting the proportions of the human body within a mathematical system. Leonardo's approach left a profound mark on Raphael, Michelangelo, Andrea del Sarto, and the painters of the Florentine school. His understanding of light and shadow later inspired the dramatic style of Baroque artists such as Caravaggio. In the fields of science and engineering, his notebooks are considered early examples of modern engineering and anatomical studies. Leonardo da Vinci is remembered not only as an artist, but also as a universal symbol of human curiosity.
His legacy is not limited to the paintings displayed in museums. His notebooks, drawings, and ideas are part of his contribution to how humanity understands the world. Leonardo's life shows that the boundaries between disciplines can be overcome and that art and science stem from the same question. How does the world work and where does humanity fit into this world?